It's Walt from Rock 95.5. It's always great to chat with fellow musicians who come from Chicago. And today, super excited to be hanging with you. I am with David Draiman of Disturbed. David, welcome.
Thank you for having me, brother.
It's so good to see you. Looking good, by the way, man. I just saw your post about the fitness regime. Hashtag down with the fitness. I love it. How hard is it to stay in shape when you're on the road?
Incredibly challenging. It's not like the healthiest food is always readily available. It's not like there's always a well fortified gym, nearby. And for me in particular, it becomes even more challenging because I also have to deal with the rigmarole that's associated with my really, really severe acid reflux disease. So it's a constant challenge. But you kind of get into a routine, you get into a pattern, and you just stick with it. And thankfully, the performances themselves, I burn through anywhere from 500 to 750 calories each time we play, so that definitely helps a lot. Just stay active, and by default, I end up basically doing intermittent fasting while I'm out there because I can't eat 4 hours prior to the show. I can't eat 2 hours prior to going to bed. So that basically,
Right.
yeah, it kills all that. So my last meal of the day, usually on show days, is like a late lunch. So
Wow, that's crazy. And like you said, there's so many hard choices. Fast food is everywhere, and you got to stay away from that. It's tough when you're on the road.
yeah, everything's tough when you're on the road. The only thing that isn't
Exactly.
tough is being in front of the fans. That's always
That
something.
is the best 2 hours of the day.
Oh yeah.
So congratulations on the new album. Divisive is fantastic. What a powerhouse album it is.
Thank you.
It's your eighth album. Did you approach this record any differently than you did The Sickness?
Well, they say that you have your entire, career to write your first record, and then the rest of your career has to be spent living up to what you did. So, the process has always been relatively the same. It always starts with the music, 90% of the time. We've always worked most effectively when we're in front of each other. The long distance stuff of just trading files between each other just doesn't have the same effect. We can get it done, but nothing substitutes the organic, real chemistry that occurs when you're in front of each other. So it's pretty much been the same process for 25 years now.
Well, it's obviously working, right? Because you came
Oh,
out with
yeah.
this album that sounds like old school, Disturbed. It feels very comfortable, right at home. It's powerful. Would this album have been? Would it sound like this if we didn't have the pandemic? Because it feels like you kind of like went back to what you felt in your heart, where it
We,
started.
we were hungry for the meat and potatoes, for sure.
Yeah,
We wanted
exactly.
to get back to Disturbed 101. We were definitely feeling the hunger for the aggression and the syncopation and the rhythm and everything that we fell in love with to begin with. So circling back to it was like coming home. And
Yeah,
we
it
couldn't
feels
leave
like it.
completely, we in terms of leaving the ballad side of things that we had strayed into over the course of the previous two records. Something that we've grown very much in love with as well. And so the duet with Ann Wilson was definitely a high moment for us on that record.
Yeah, I definitely want to talk about that. How did that come about? Because that song is almost, I mean, like you've got all the hard hitting, powerful stuff on the record, but this song in the middle of the record just kind of stands out as like where the album peaks for me. How
For
did
sure.
that come about?
Um, I was in the middle of a Twitter discussion, and it was myself and Bruce Dickinson and a few other guys who were commenting on who we thought was the best female rock voice of all time, and we all were saying Ann Wilson. She's the best, one of the best voices, period, irrespective of genre, irrespective of male or female. Um, she's a force to be reckoned with, and she is a treasure. And she ended up responding and being very
So
complimentary.
you
And
you just reached out and said, "Hey, got
I
the
took my
song.
shot. I took my shot. You know, I'm like, yeah, okay, if there's ever a time when I can ask, now's the time. And I asked her if she would be willing to collaborate in the future. She was totally down with it. And we had originally tracked Don't Tell Me as just a single sung song. And going back to it and then having her in mind, I said to Danny at the time, I'm like, no, this is the one. This is where we have to have our first guest on a Disturbed record. And she's agreed to do it. I sent her the track and she fell in love with it too. And Danny and I flew out to the West Coast to meet up with her and her husband. And I had the tremendous honor and privilege of singing with her and working with her on the harmonies and melodies and getting to see firsthand just what an actual gift to humanity she is. She's just an incredible woman.
Well, what's amazing is maybe it's not amazing because you have two incredible voices, but they sound so good together. I mean, you can never be for certain that your voice will work with somebody else's,
Right.
but man, it definitely works on this track for sure.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. The first time I was able to hear it back with our voices combined, it was goosebumps for days. I mean, it's truly a surreal and just, you know, magical moment. Really is.
And the topic is incredible too, because letting go of a relationship after many years, you don't hear a lot of songs about that. I just went through it about 4 years ago, and
You feel
it
it,
touched, yeah, it touched me, and I'm going like, this topic is so powerful, and so many people have gone through it, but not many people speak to it. So kudos for bringing up the topic.
well, it was Danny's idea to begin with to go to that subject matter because he was at the time that we conceptualized it still reeling from his recent divorce. And I had no idea how prophetic it was going to become in terms of actually being reflective of my own recent divorce. So there's only one guy left in the band that's still married. He's the one who's most newly married, our boy John. But yeah, it hits home in a way that I never expected it to, and it definitely fills you with emotion.
Is it going to be released as a single at some point?
Oh, absolutely.
Ah, fantastic, because it deserves to be heard by many ears. Love it.
I couldn't agree more. Thank you, brother.
So you've said that we're experiencing primal tribal warfare at this time, which I think I understand where you're going with that. And this record is a wake up call for everyone. Can you explain that?
People got more addicted to their sides of their respective teams and all the jargon and propaganda and culture wars and and virtue signaling that become associated with them over the course of the pandemic. I mean, we got removed from everyone and everything, and everybody had this incredible rabbit hole to go ahead and just delve into on their respective computers or cell phones or anything. The internet is a limitless source of trying to find the answers to why everything is wrong for you in your life except for you yourself. um,
Right.
and trying to point a finger at everybody and everything for why you don't have the things you want. Um, it became, just such a mess of epic proportions, and it became it was already everybody's addiction. But it was intensified 100-fold. It's like a junkie being locked up in a house with a whole bunch of heroin that you can't get away from.
Right.
It was crazy seeing just how much it intensified during that period of time and how hyper polarized everybody became, even more so than the respective 2 or 3 elections had done to us as a country and as a planet. It's a very sad state of affairs where the everyone's favorite pastime is this,
Yeah.
picking a side and only wanting to hear the thoughts that are already in your head coming out of the person you're talking to's mouth. And
I think the word tribal is perfect. I mean, because that's how I feel. I feel like we
yeah,
all subscribe belong to our tribes, and no matter what our tribes say, that's what goes.
yep,
But this album speaks to positivity, and it kind of brings everybody together. And I think, like, we're all in this, we all love this music, so why can't we all just get along type of a vibe. And I love the positivity. It's important. We need that more than ever right now.
No, for sure, for sure. We need more tools to bring us together more than ever. And music is the most powerful connective force in all of creation. You know, there's not a single nation on the planet that, you know, there's a reason why every national anthem is sung. There's a reason why every single movie, every piece of a soundtrack is scored so carefully, and why sonics are able to elicit such powerful emotions and powerful memories in our person. I mean, it's true magic, you know, the ability that music has to bring people together, to take them back in time, to connect an entire sea full of thousands of people who otherwise would never have a chance to be connected to each other. It's a miracle.
So true. I mean, whether you're like bobbing your head to a disturbed beat and all of the awesome riffs and grooves that you guys put out, or just being moved by the music in a movie, it is key to everything. You listen to a movie without the music, and it falls so much flat,
Right.
so flatter than it does with the music. It's so important, and I don't think people ever realize it because it is a primal thing that happens when we're injected with music.
Very much so. And it's not something that can be scientifically deduced. It's not something that you can, you know, with his, and don't get me wrong, I have a tremendous respect for technology, but AI is never going to be able to find the mystical combination of notes that, for whatever reason, makes the hairs on the back of your neck stand up when you hear a specific melody pattern. It you might be able to have it put together EDM stuff. You may be able to have it identify that, look, you and I both know that the average song structure is verse, chorus, chorus, bridge, outro, chorus to just about every single song in existence.
100%. Yeah.
That there's some science to, but to find why this note combination or this particular arpeggiation or this particular descending progression as opposed to this ascending progression happens to resonate within the human soul, that's not scientific. That's soul, yeah. It's feel. And that's something that no matter how far technology ends up developing, we won't ever be robbed of.
And you're so good at the melody thing, because I love the fact that a Disturbed song hits so hard, it bounces, it's got the groove and everything. But man, you can sing every one of these Disturbed songs. And where does that melody come from? How hard is it to find those right combinations of notes?
It's a blessing, and it's not something that can be taught. It just isn't. I thank the powers that be every single day of my existence that we can still find them, that I can still find them, that they haven't been hidden from me yet, that there's still plenty of water in the well, so to speak, to draw from. It's so miraculous in its creation. It really, truly is. And it's always improvisation. It's always feeling around in the dark and trying to see which patterns work and which fit within the bed of music that you're trying to create them in, and waiting until you finally achieve the right combination that does achieve the desired effect. It's a lot of trial and error sometimes. Sometimes it comes out, you know, instantly. Yeah. There's no calculated means of it. You know, there's so many great proficient players in this world. There's so many people who are virtuosos at their respective instrument. Okay, but the actual songwriters in this world, yeah, that can actually write a hit song and have that hook that no matter what musical bed you put it in, it's still going to hook you. Yeah. That is a gift I will never take for granted any day of my life.
Yeah. Well, you do it very well, and we
Thank
are
you.
all appreciative. It sounds so great on the new record too. I just love that. You just did a tour in Europe. How different are European crowds than the crowds in the U.S.?
I often compare the difference in terms of passion. Uh, US gets all the tours all the time. Europe doesn't get them quite as often. And let's even go away from music for a second. There's just something different culturally there. Go to a European football match, right? What we call soccer here in the States, and then go. The only thing that comes close to the level of coordinated intensity that exists at a European football match is going to like a college football game in the United States. I'm not even saying the NFL. NFL greats are
Yeah, yeah.
great, but you go to a college game, that's a whole different level of passion and energy, and that's almost sometimes there, sometimes even exceeding it, but it's almost what you would see at, let's say, when we just played Nova Rock in Austria, or when we just played Release Festival in Athens, or when we just finished our last show in Tel Aviv. The level of intensity, of passion, of having the crowd singing every single word to every single song louder than I can possibly do it with the whole PA behind me. I mean, it's so transcendent and so gratifying and so intoxicating. It's absolutely overwhelming. And if anyone from the United States hasn't had the opportunity to experience a European festival crowd, you need to do it at least once in your lifetime to
Yeah, put it on your
understand
bucket list for sure.
for sure.
Yeah. So you're about to kick off the take your life back tour here in the States. What is one thing that diehard Disturbed fans are going to be surprised about this upcoming tour?
Well, we're definitely going to be pulling deep into the catalog. We're going to have a different audible every night. Now, a lot of the set is very structured because we're bringing out massive production, a lot of pyro, a lot of toys that we have never played with before. So there's going to be a large majority of our 1.5 to 2 hours that we're up there that are going to be everything that they're looking for hit wise, and all the bells and whistles that go along with it. But at least every night that we play, there will be one song that is different. And we're not trying to go towards the rest of the singles in the catalog per se, even though we'll probably dip into there from time to time. But we're looking at some of the more obscure stuff. We're looking at some of the songs that we've either very, very rarely played live or have never played live before. So
Wow.
it's going to be fun for everybody, for us and them. We're very much looking forward to it.
I was going to ask, so does that keep it fresh for you when you pull out a song that you haven't played in years or maybe never played before?
Oh yeah, yeah. It also means quite a bit of homework as we're out there on the road as well.
Exactly.
But it's a
Exactly.
good for sure.
Do you feel a little bit of nerves when you play in front of a Chicago hometown show?
Um, I don't know that nerves are what I would call it anymore. It's excitement. You know,
Excitement.
especially in Chicago, that what I will always refer to as the World Music Theater there was where I saw all my favorite shows growing up, where I, you know, where we shot the video for Down with the Sickness, headlining our first radio show there. It's such an iconic venue. It looks like a hard rock heavy metal venue. It has that vibe. It has that, incredible spirit. And I look forward to that energy every time we play.
Well, we are all looking forward to seeing the power and the music that you're going to deliver at what is now called Credit Union One Amphitheater. Different title than when you even announced this tour at the beginning of the year. But that is August 30th, Breaking Benjamin and Ginger in tow. David, such a pleasure to get to speak with you. Cannot wait to see Disturbed later on this summer here in Chicago. Thanks for taking the time to hang out with me.
Thank you for having me, brother. Be well. Talk soon.
You got it. You too.